First, Gary, let's talk about before you were coach, back in the 1960s when you were a student here at Carroll College. What are some of your fond memories when you look back on those times?
Well, I came to Carroll in 1964, and I'd been at public high school, and my parents wanted me to come to Carroll to get some Catholic education, and also I had an opportunity to play football here at Carroll, and I really wanted to play college athletics. And, it was probably the best decision I ever made. But to look back at your life and say, what were the big decisions? That was a big one. To come in 1964, and 4 years later I graduated and had a degree and went out and became a teacher.
From what I've heard, you were quite a boxer when you were a student here at Carroll College. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, they had a boxing program here, and they had the junior class smoker. And we had some great teachers who really kind of taught you how to defend yourself, how to box. And we trained for about 6 weeks, and then we'd have this great big smoker. And it's in where the present-day chapel is now. There was an old gym, and they would bring the lights down, and they had a ring, and referees and judges, and everybody at Carroll was there. And I fought in it 2 years, and I was a sophomore, and I fought a senior 1 year. And then when I was a junior, I fought a senior that time too. And everybody's cheering for you or against you. But the probably the most amazing feeling that I ever had when I boxed was I remember just having the whole crowd just cheering and screaming, and I was trying to figure out what was, and I realized it's just I just got hit. So it was you learned a lot. It was a great experience and a lot of fun.
Were you a good boxer?
I was average. I was a little bit skinny and weak, so I didn't pack much of a punch. But I learned how to defend myself, and I learned how to throw a punch.
So you weren't a gold gloves winner?
No, I wasn't that kind of good. Gene Millette was my vintage, and he was really good. And Denny Goodhart was another one really good. Hank Burgess was the coach. He was a tremendous coach, wonderful literature teacher, British literature teacher, longtime professor at Carroll. And then he was the one that started the smoker and taught the boxing.
So you came here to play football. You did some boxing on the side. When did the transition to being such a basketball-centric mind come into play?
Well, I think, Slim, that I just was meant to be a coach. I think I always knew I would be a coach. I just didn't know what I would be a coach in. Baseball, football would have probably been my first choices. But when I went out to become a teacher, the opportunities were in basketball. And so I grew to love it. I came to all the Carroll basketball camps when I was a young, aspiring coach. I learned an awful lot about basketball at the camp. I started to study, go to clinics, read books, and kind of developed a passion for it. And, all of a sudden I had an opportunity to become the head coach at Great Falls High School. And it was a real tough opportunity because there were two experienced coaches that had more experience than I did, but I lucked out and got the right people to back me at the right time and got to be the head coach there, and that was the first big chance I had. And 11 years later, the opportunity opened up at Carroll, and I always wanted to come back to Carroll. This was always in the back of my mind. It was a goal that if I ever had the chance, I wanted to do it. And in 1990, I believe it was, I had the chance, and I got hired. So it was great.
When you look back, you mentioned the difficulties of the challenge at Great Falls High. What were some of the challenges to transition from coaching high school boys basketball to college men's basketball?
Well, it's still basketball. And I had a great player in Bill Pilgrim to start with. I mean, it's unbelievable to be your first year as a head coach and know that you are coaching the best player you're ever going to coach. He was definitely a Division I star who got overlooked in those days, and I got to coach him. And then I just had such good players, Guy Almquist and on and on and on, Kevin Van Nice, J.D. Solomon. I mean, the list just went on. We were really attracting great players. And I had some real quality assistant coaches. And I worked at it hard. I worked at it real hard. That was my job, and I loved it, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
What do you think were the growth that you made from a young coach in 1990 to when you retired, quote unquote, in 2009? What were some of the areas that you think you personally grew as a coach?
Well, I think there's in a coach's life, you go through a learning, growing period, and then you have some peak years where your experience and your system, and you're able to recruit to your system. It took a while for us to get there, but once we kind of got there, we knew the kind of kids we wanted to recruit. We were starting to get awfully good Montana kids. If the Bobcats and Grizzlies didn't get them, we were getting them. And then I just think I learned to relax a little bit as a coach and not be quite so crazy with the referees and so demanding of my players. And I think when I relax a little bit, they relax a little bit. I think we all started to have a little bit more fun. And I think the success followed with that.
You've mentioned having success recruiting Montana kids. A lot of those guys are still in Montana coaching teams themselves now. Guy on listed Helena Capital, Bill Pilgrim was at Helena Capital for a long time, Jay Jagelski, Ross Gustafson. What's it mean to you to see so many of your former players, take what they learned from you to a degree and enter into the coaching world on their own?
Well, I think it's wonderful. Kurt Paulson, who is the head men's coach at Carroll, was our point guard for 3 years, and then all the other, head high school coaches around the state. And even guys that aren't head coaches are coaching their kids, or they're coaching sophomore, but they're coaching. And it's wonderful to see them pass on what they learned and to give back to the game that was so good to them. It means an awful lot. It means really that you were able to be involved in somebody's life at a critical time and maybe make a contribution to them, and that they are doing the same for others.
That Gary Turcott coaching tree, there's a lot of guys on it. Can you remember all of your former players who are now head coaches?
Well, it was started in Helena, Peterson at Helena High, and then, of course, Almquist and Pilgrim, who were at Capitol, Jagelski at Missoula Sentinel. Let's see, Kelly Dara is at Billings West. Boy, I know that I'm going to miss some, and I'm going to be angry that I have. Kevin Van Nice, who's coaching out at East Helena, and one day I bet would be the head high school coach there, would be my bet. And I know I'm missing some more, but there's quite a bunch of them.
Do you keep in touch with those guys? Do they ever call you and ask for advice anymore?
They don't ask for advice, but they do call, and most of them want to talk about the old times. And the one thing that I do wish that any of them to hear this is that quit embellishing the stories. The things we did were crazy enough, and the things that I did, you guys quit embellishing them, because every time I hear them, they get better.
Okay, what are the toned-down versions of what's some of the best stories, best memories you have from being the head men's coach at Carroll College?
Well, the stories that the players like the most involve meals after games when we would order fast food, and sometimes the players would order anchovies to be put in my sandwich, or meatless sandwiches, and then they would just love it. They would howl and laugh and cry, and I think those are the worst stories. I forgot to mention Jeff Hayes, goodness, at Missoula Hellgate, who was an unbelievable. He's state champion a couple of times. So, but those are the stories that they like, and they tell them and retell them, and they seem to get better over the years.
300 wins. I mean, do those memories come back, or is it more the meals and the stuff away from the game that comes back?
Yeah, it's the relationships that matter. The W's and L's don't mean nearly as much. They really don't. It's the relationships, and hopefully that you were able to make a contribution. And And most importantly, to try to provide a quality experience for the kids that come and play for you, and give 4 or 5 years of their life to you and to Carroll College to provide a quality experience. That's because not every kid is going to be a starter. Not every kid's going to be all conference. There's a lot of kids that worked awful hard and never got to play very much. But we still tried to provide a good experience for them.
I was talking to Guy Almquist earlier, and he mentioned that maybe in the moment he maybe cussed you a few times, but in hindsight he says you're one of the most influential people in his life. I mean, to hear former players speak in such high regard about you, what does that mean to you and your legacy?
Well, it means everything. When the thing about being a high school coach or a college coach is you get to work with really high quality human beings. I mean, these are very, very goal-oriented, hard-working people, and you get to be a part of their lives, and you get to influence how they feel about themselves, how they feel about their teammates, and you really want to do that job right. That's one thing you want to really do right. And when I hear that sometimes we did it right, it's very gratifying.
And you mentioned now that it's been 8 years since you've been an assistant coach for the women's basketball team. What's been that experience like for you?
Well, when I retired, I didn't think I would ever coach again. And Rochelle Sayers got hired at Carroll, and I'd been out of coaching for 2 years, and she wanted an assistant coach. And I wasn't really sure that I'd never been really an assistant coach. And I wasn't really sure that I could do it, but she insisted, and she has been patient enough with me, and I've learned a lot about how to be an assistant, because it's different than being a head coach. It's a different role, and I feel like I've done better at learning how to do that. And when you're an assistant, you make suggestions. When you're a head coach, you make decisions, and so what I try to do at times is provide options, and sometimes I'll tell Coach that I think we really need to look at this, and she'll think about it, and sometimes she listens, and sometimes she knows better. So, but it's really been great. I've really enjoyed coaching with Coach Sayers. She's just a high-quality person. She treats the girls terrifically. She's really cares about them, and we've had some great girls come through here since I've been coaching. I mean, I can't believe it's been 8 years. I never thought I would do it this long, and here I am in my 8th year. So,
19 years as a head men's coach, 8 years as an assistant women's coach, 4 years as a student here. Carroll's been a significant part of your life for 30 plus years. What is it about this place that's so special?
It's I think it's the people that are drawn to come here, the friends, the relationships that I made at Carroll from 1964 to 1968. That is the basis of my best friends all my life. They support me, they challenge me, they have made me a better person. So I think that it's a challenging place. Carroll isn't for everyone. It's academically difficult. It's important that you're able to get along with other people. You have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to think. And then you get an opportunity to play college sports and the opportunity to grow through that. It's just a tremendous experience. And the kids that make it through, and that's most of them that come, their life has changed. My life was. And then I got to come back and be a coach and teacher and assistant coach. So it was a blessing.